Today on Commander Replay, we're back with some more Patreon-submitted Dragon. Can the Dragon survive the suicide aggro onslaught of Greven Predator Captain? Find out next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some more the Dragon today, and this deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Sean Mason. Let's take a look at this opening hand. I'm not in love with it. Haven gets us any color, Ancient Tomb gets us 2, but there's yeah, that's gonna be a mulligan. All right. Yeah, this looks a little bit better. We've got multiple colors of mana. We've got Rhythm of the Wild, prevent the creatures from being countered, and we've got a bit of soft removal in Cyclonic Rift. So yeah, this looks much better. Keep this. Here comes a Lenoir Elves for the Volrath opponent. Brings it to our turn 1. We draw into a Kolaghan the Storm's Fury. What are we going with first? We've got the Haven. We've got some fetch lands. Let's play a fetch land. Gonna wait to see. I don't know which ones we need yet. We've got a red land in hand, so just gonna wait as long as possible on the fetch lands. Here comes a Talisman for the... Is it Ghired or Ghired? I don't know yet. Go with Ghired? Ghired? We draw our way into a Living Death. Could be helpful if we need to wipe the board or if we need to bring some of our stuff back. Nothing much else going on yet, so I'm going to pass the turn. Opponent plays a Circuitous Route and gets themselves some gates. Interesting. So taking a look at what our opponents are playing today. First up, we have Pauper Arbus playing Greven Predator Captain. Is 3 red-black for a 5/5 with Menace. It gets +X/+0, where X is the amount of life you've lost this turn. And when it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw cards equal to that creature's power, and you lose life equal to that creature's toughness. Very interesting. Sort of like Hatred on a stick? I'm sure that can be dangerous. Opponent lays down some Talismans of their own. Brings back to our turn, we draw into a Swords. We will, well, I think this turn we're going to lay down the Mountain. We'll crack the Windswept Heath. We need double black, so we'll maybe get like a green-black land right here. I think it's going to be Bayou. Crack the Flooded Strand. We'll need something with blue eventually as well. Make sure that we can hit the Living Death, so I guess we'll go for like Underground Sea. And then we'll cast the Rhythm of the Wild. So Rhythm of the Wild into play. This is a really good card. I've been seeing this card show up a lot. And protect your creatures from getting countered. Give them +1/+1 counters if you care about counters. Otherwise, give them haste. Haste is usually pretty good. A lot of good abilities right there. Mana Crypt coming down for the Greven. And it comes into play. There's a lot of text on that card. I feel like that's the type of thing that can get you. If you're not used to it, you know, this is my first time seeing it, so we'll probably just need to make sure we leave that Swords up for it. Make sure we don't get like one hit or anything like that. Here comes an Altered Ego, X3, and it becomes a copy of Greven with 3 counters on it. It's an 8/8. That's a thing. We're really going to want to leave the Swords up. I was thinking about casting a Dragon this turn, but that actually seems... risking that? I just don't know what this commander can do, so risking that seems like not a great idea to tap out. Here comes a Lifecrafter's Bestiary for the Ghired. That's a Teferi's Protection. We don't have any white for the Swords. Alright, misplanned that. Alright, I guess that puts us on a Dragon then. Let's go for Dramoka first. And it can come in with a +1/+1 counter or haste. Ooh. I'm gonna go with the +1/+1 counter right here just to leave up a creature. I know it has Menace and it doesn't technically block it, but, you know, just holding up a creature I feel like is better than swinging into one of the other opponents, and I don't want to funnel their creatures our way. That's the thing that I don't want to do, so... Oh, this is going to be bad. Opponent's going to active aggression on our Dramoka. Yup. Well, if we survive... okay, yep, I see what's going on. Opponent's going to sacrifice our creature, make their commander huge. If we can draw a black, then... Oh, my. That's 20 power. Who's it going to? It's going to the Volrath opponent. Oh, that seems savage. If we can find another land on our turn, I'm definitely going to Living Death, because, yeah... So, 20 commander damage into the Volrath, and they lose 20. Half their life right there. 1 away from commander damage. That's all a thing. Maybe we'll get lucky, and they will play some removal, so that we don't have to. Someone laid down an Urborg, so this is now a swamp, which could be helpful. And, oh, opponent's going to Rite of Consumption, and just, yep, Volrath's out of the game. I was just about to introduce Volrath, but... I guess we'll save that for another time, since they didn't actually get to do all that much in this particular game. Here comes Ghired, Conclave Exile, and It's going to create a 4/4 Rhino creature token. We draw a Sylvan Library. That's not the worst thing. Sylvan Library can draw some additional cards, which is where I think we need to be right now. So get the Sylvan Library into play. Leave up the 2-mana mode of Cyclonic Rift just in case. Here comes Greven back to play. Yep. And a Phyrexian Arena. Opponent will get the Scry off the Lifecrafter's Bestiary. Yeah. Here comes a Voice of Resurgence. There's one you don't see much of in Commander. Used to light up the modern scene, though. Whenever an opponent casts a spell during your turn, or if it dies, create a green-white elemental creature token with this creature's power and toughness is equal to the number of creatures you control. Pretty cool little card. And as I understand it, the only card that really held any value at a Dragon's Maze, for those that may have speculated. Opponent's going to attack with Ghired, and they'll get to populate, and that's all coming our way. That's a fair amount of damage. That's going to be 10. Yep. It's going to bring it back to our turn. It's going to be Sylvan Library time. There is thankfully a land right there. That is good news. Use the Sylvan Library. See what we got coming. We've got a Temur Ascendancy, a Chromatic Lantern. I think we can put the Chromatic Lantern back on top. I mean, does it make sense to draw with Temur Ascendant? I'm going to pay the 4 to draw Temur Ascendancy right here, just so we can dig a little bit deeper on our next turn to hit lands if we need to. Really don't want to be missing those land drops. So play the Steam Vents, play Living Death, get all this nonsense out of play, get our dragon back into play. Nope, and that's a Teferi's Protection from the Ghired. Alright. At least it gets rid of this guy. Buys us another turn, gets us our dragon back. It comes in with Riot. Actually, is that a cast? Somehow we didn't get the choice of the haste or the counter. They enter the battlefield with your choice. Yeah, okay. That seems like a bug right there. Here's a Luxodon Warhammer. Yep, that's a good one. Smoke. Players can't untap more than one creature during their untap step. There's one you don't see much of. My friend used to get me with that card way back in the day. And there's a Yargle. Yeah, I guess Yargle makes sense in that deck. Here comes a Nature's Lore for opponent. So they don't get to untap their tokens, which is good. They do some attacking, though. And they'll get a token to populate. And this time they're going to swing into the Greven opponent. Ooh, opponent's going to return to dust the Luxodon Warhammer, and the smoke leaves both of our enchantments. That is good news. We take a look at that Chromatic Lantern. Ooh, no lands in there. Not amazing. And it's not like we can afford to just draw wildly right here. Ooh. We may have to Teferi's Protect this turn. Do we have any shuffles? We do not have any shuffles. That gains us life. Life is cool. I guess we're going to put this back on top. What are we doing with the Lathliss? I think we're putting Lathliss back on top, too. Ugh. Don't love this. Do not love this. I think we're just going to play the Chromatic Lantern. Sit on Teferi's Protection. I mean, we could attack, but does it matter? So by leaving the creature back right here, that means that we may not have to use the Teferi's Protection, depending. So if we attack someone and we're just wide open, then yes, we most definitely have to use it. Holding a creature back means that maybe we can save it, and that would be the most ideal. Well, we're now one land off of the Cyclonic Rift, overloading it, so that's a thing. And that's a thing that we'll probably have to do. Oh, our final opponent, by the way, getting real bad with the introductions here, is Ghired Conclave Exile, 2 red, green, white for a 2/5. When it enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 Rhino creature token with Trample. When it attacks, populate. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. So, I took a look at this commander the other day, and I realized that that deck is basically Attack Step Tribal. I don't know if I've ever been so qualified to build or pilot a deck in my entire commander life. So, I'm going to be excited when I get the chance to play that one myself. And in the meantime, we see them really stacking up some tokens over there, so it's going to be able to punch out some damage. Opponent going to do some attacking. They can sacrifice a creature to their commander. They are attacking the Ghired opponent. Probably going to have to trade in... Oh, nope, their tokens are blocked. This is going to hurt. Oh, that's 21 commander damage. They go down. All right, then. What are we doing? Man, this thing is really strong when no one has removal. All right, there's a land finally, so we're going to put the Lathliss back. Kind of want to keep Kaya's Guile. Let's keep Kaya's Guile. And we'll also keep the Command Tower. Play the Command Tower. And, I mean, like, Cyclonic Rift... Dromoka, attack with the dragon next turn probably does it. Attack with Dromoka. Opponent goes down to 14. They get a Mana Crypt and a Phyrexian Arena trigger. They stay at 13. Opponent's going to play a Crypt Ghast. Yep, that's a good one. Opponent's going to reanimate on the Yargle. Okay. Opponent's going to lose a lot of life doing that. Opponent goes down to 9. Yeah, they're going for it. They are going for it. Opponent's going to play in a Heb. Yep. How does opponent have so many cards in hand? I didn't see how they drew so much. Oh, the second half of the ability. If you do, draw cards equal to that creature's power and lose life. Yep. Okay, so when they sacrifice Yargle, they drew 1,000,000 cards. That's a thing that happened. There's an unspeakable symbol. They can pay life to put counters on things. Yep. Here's an extort trigger. Opponent sending some stuff. Gonna get a dethrone trigger and the Greven trigger. I think now's a good time to Cyclonic Rift. Hope they don't have red Elemental Blast. That would get us if they do. And I did think about Teferi's Protection for that reason, but I'm gonna go with the Rift, and if the Rift resolves, I mean, it's probably just game. Okay, opponent's gonna Chaos Warp on our Dragon. I think we have a permanent on top of our library, don't we? Oh, it shuffles anyway, right? Okay, so we don't just win. But we do get a Hellkite Tyrant. We'll put the +1/+1 counter on it. Hellkite Tyrant seems good. Opponent's got 18 cards in hand, but sadly they have a Reliquary Tower in play, so they will not have to discard. Makes me sad. I've been trying to cut down on the number of colorless lands that I run in my decks lately for better consistency, but sometimes it's just good to have a Reliquary Tower, even if your deck doesn't draw that well, just for Cyclonic Rift protection. Let's move back to our turn. There's a Smothering Tithe. We're taking a look at a Toxic Deluge, a Smothering Tithe, and a Reflecting Pool. Deluge back on top. I think we're paying 4 for both right here. Play the Reflecting Pool. Take a little check on our mana. This will be 4 to cast. Yeah, okay, so we'll have exactly enough for Smothering Tithe and Kolagons? Okay, that works. Oh, also we could dash this thing. Oh yeah, I think we just need to cast this and get it with haste. Alright, that should work. Give it haste. Do some attacking. The dragons will get the +1/+0 for each attacking dragon. And this should do it. Wow, what a wild game. Whew. Can't believe we snuck that out. Thank God for Cyclonic Rift. So, Greven definitely stole the show right there. They were kind of doing all the work, and we just kind of cleaned up the mess afterwards. But, and that is the beauty of having just, like, powerful cards in your deck, like Cyclonic Rift, like Teferi's Protection. You can just sit on those as you need to. Now, the one thing I didn't like that we did not generate a lot of value or ramp early. Our first 2 or 3 turns there were pretty awkward. We didn't draw cards. We didn't really ramp the way we wanted to. So that's all not great, which to me says we probably need to get some more stuff in the 2 converted mana cost slot. Even just some signets, I think, because signets are really good for color fixing. Would probably be a really good idea. I don't know exactly what to cut, but I think the top end of this deck needs to get trimmed down just a teeny bit. Taking a look at 6 and above, we're talking about 14, 16, 17. We're talking about 17 cards at 6 mana or above, which is actually the exact same number as my current Angel build with Aurelia. So, I mean, I guess all in all, that's probably not that bad. I think we probably need to balance some stuff out in here, though. Maybe another 4-drop, just something that has a little more heft to it, like an Explosive Vegetation probably wouldn't be terrible. One thing that's not in here that I wouldn't mind seeing either is a Mirari's Wake or a Zendikar Resurgent to get that mana doubling. The mana doubling plus card draw and Zendikar Resurgent can be really good, just that it is costly. It does take time and tempo to tap out for that type of play. So I think the deck just needs a bit more balancing, and, you know, it's a really tough question of what do you cut, and the answer is I don't know. You know, the Chromatic Lantern was helping us out a lot right there because we didn't have access to white mana, so you don't really want to cut that. I don't know. If there's anyone out there that's like has a really well-built Ur-Dragon deck, let me know how you handle the early parts of the curve. Obviously, the later parts of the curve is mostly going to be dragons, maybe a couple board wipes, and, you know, some big finishing thing like an Expropriate. But yeah, let me know how you guys handle the early part of the curve right there, because that's where I found things to be the most tricky with the Ur-Dragon is what are you doing before you get to your big dragons? And, you know, what are you doing to maximize your ability to get the most out of your dragons, play the most dragons, etc., etc. So that's really where I still have some questions. Another card that I added after the last game, but before this one, was Heroic Intervention. I really like the idea of just trying to protect our dragons once they're in play. 2 good dragons is probably enough to kill a player. Maybe 3 dragons if you have some of the ones that are less combat-centric. But yeah, 2 combat-centric dragons is probably enough to, like, either really hurt someone or just take them out of the game. And then, you know, any 3 dragons is just going to do a lot of damage any way you slice it, so. Anyway, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this look at the Ur-Dragon. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.